Next level.
Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Coach Tiffany Parra, Editor-in-Chief of Phoenix Fitness Fanatics magazine, and your host for today's show. We are spotlighting one of our amazing contributing writers today. I'm going to go ahead and bring her on in. Some of you may have seen her before. Bring her on in. Good morning, Teresa. How are you? Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to have you on the show.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yes, yes. And thank you for being a part of the Phoenix Fitness Fanatics family, as well as the Own It magazine and publishing family as well, because I know you're a contributing writer over there. So let's just take a moment, because there are some people out there in the audience that have not met you yet. So can you please just introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do.
Okay. I'm Teresa Palmer, and I'm a nurse. I'm actually a nurse practitioner or advanced practice nurse. My expertise for the past 30 years, over 30 years, has been holistic cardiology. So my focus is on the entire person in the traditional field of cardiology. So I've done it all: inpatient, outpatient, worked with the very ill, worked with people with different conditions, worked with people who just wanted to know more about their heart and stay healthy, what I call heart consciousness, that really affects everything that we do in our life, because our heart physically sustains life, but also emotionally we process emotions, and spiritually it is the seat of our soul or our inner knowing. So that's what I do.
And I
Um,
absolutely love that. I love that because you're helping people tap into the thing that really does drive us, right? It's not here, it's here, and it's in that feeling of things, right? All the answers are in our heart, and I just love that. So in this time of the year, Teresa, it's October, and it's we're coming to a close of another amazing year. We're moving into the holidays, and there's a lot of people stressed out right now. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that, and talk to you a little bit about how to help people to be able to manage that stress and manage that being able to give themselves that love that their heart really needs. So tell me a little bit about your feelings on just this time of year, and just kind of the state of how people are right now.
well, I think we're socially conditioned that once we hear the word holidays,
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, any other holidays, Yom Kippur, everything, Hanukkah, everything else that goes with that, and other cultures as well, that we automatically are conditioned to think we need to be stressed. But we really don't, because we have a choice most of the time. Well, we have a choice between being stressed and not being stressed. And by that, I mean there's some things that we just can't control, that are out of our hands, that we tend to get stressed and worried about. But there's absolutely nothing we can do. The outcome is going to be what it's going to be. And once we realize that, we could let it go and turn that kind of stress and worry over to whatever you believe the higher power is, that it's out of your hands. You have to let it go, because whatever you're going to do, you can't change the outcome. It is what it is. So that's one type of stress that we could just get rid of, because it doesn't do anybody any good to worry about something that the outcome is totally out of their hands.
Right.
Then there's the second kind of stress, and that's the kind of stress that we could do something about.
Mm-hmm.
We may get stressed out trying to manage too many things, schedules, whatever it is, maybe too many parties, trying to take on too much. So, with that kind of stress, you have to sit back and you could actually write it down and say, what do I really need to do? What's
Right.
important? What are my priorities? And then that way you pick and choose what you want to be involved with.
Yeah.
So that's the second kind of stress, that you could eliminate things that maybe you don't want to do something. And that's it. You just don't do it. You take it off your list
Right.
and you make a manageable list. And then there's the third kind of stress that we kind of bring on ourselves because, especially as women, we're conditioned to believe to put everybody else first, to not say no, when in reality, you have to put yourself first. And if you look at the airlines, what do they tell you? Put your own oxygen mask on
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
then help others. And why? Because if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, you're going to die and you're not going to be able to help others. And it's the same thing with other parts of our life. That
Right.
as women and as people in general, we have to learn to say no.
Yeah.
That we have to set up limitations of what we can do comfortably and what we can't do comfortably, and let people know that, we're important in order to help them. Because if you give and give, it's like drinking from an empty well. If you run out of water, where are you?
Right.
You have to have that replenishment, and it's the same thing with us. And there's also managing stress. So,
Mm-hmm.
say you have this stress and you have to get things done or whatever. How do you manage it? You go inside yourself. And
Yeah.
I'm a big believer. I think sitting quietly, walking in nature, some sort of movement, and or what they would call meditation is
Yeah.
really the key, because you have to quiet your mind.
Right.
And we're like a chatterbox. In some traditions they call it monkey mind,
Yeah.
where you're all over the place and you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, you may be at the gym and thinking about everything else you have to do, when really you need to be in the present moment. Because
Right.
once you get in that present moment, you turn off the stress hormones. And it's the stress hormones that causes havoc. And those are adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol. In fact, in my article that I wrote for Venus Fitness Fanatics, I wrote about, is stress sabotaging you? And
Mm-hmm.
cortisol is a huge culprit in that, because it hinders our ability to lose weight, make good decisions. So managing stress is so important. And I
Yeah.
know the first thing people say is, I can't sit quietly. Well, you could take a few moments for yourself. I say 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. Even before you get up in the morning, if you just lay in bed and focus on your breath work, that's another thing. Once you
Yeah.
take that deep inhalation and then exhale, you automatically turn off the stress hormones, because the vagus nerve connects directly to the respiratory system and to the heart. So you're automatically making that peace and calm. So even if you could be aware throughout your day, when you start to feel stress, deep breath in and deep breath out, and try to focus on your breathing. Sit quietly for a few minutes. If thoughts come in your mind, thank them for coming, because you can't really clear your mind. We're human beings and we think. Take a
Right.
walk in nature, or if you're taking a walk and you do it on a daily basis or weekly or whatever, be present in the moment. Look around you. Are there trees?
Right.
Are you? What does the road look like? Or where you're at? Be very focused on the present, and that's really how we manage stress. There's always something we can do to help ourselves, regardless of any situation. And stress, we could really help ourselves with that, because it's a choice of, do we want to be stuck in that repeated cycle of stress, excuse me, which is eventually going to ruin our health, physically, emotionally, and spiritually? Or do we want to make choices and either limit the stress, put ourselves first, and then manage the stress?
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about it.
And seeing it, that it's so you hit so many points there, Teresa, because I mean the easiest thing for us to do to eliminate stress is to say no. Is to say no, right? Because, like you said, we as women, I mean, I think individuals, I mean, men and women do this, but women especially, we tend to just continue to take and take it, take it on, because we're worried about what someone's going to think or feel or anything else. And honestly, what they feel is their problem, not ours anyway, right? So we have to be able to give ourselves grace and say no. Set those boundaries of making sure that you stay present in the moment, because when you're present and in the moment, you don't miss things. You know, we stay so stuck in the rat race of life that we miss things because they're just flying past us. So I think life becomes so much more just beautiful and joyous when we stop and, you know, as they say, smell the roses, right?
Right. Or be the eye of the storm.
Yes.
And, if you're the center, I mean, you look at the center, the eye of a storm, it's calm and there's all chaos around it. But if you could center and be your own eye of the storm, and that comes from being present, everything around us, the chaos, we don't get involved with.
Right.
There's so much going on in the world and the environment around us, in our present environment, locally, globally,
Right.
that we just really have to stay in that present moment and not let it get us into anxiety or fear, because then again, some of those things we can't do anything about anyway. So
Right.
why
Absolutely.
sit there and look at it and worry about it? Is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? We
Right.
become our own worst enemies.
We sure do. We sure do. Well, look, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some of the things that you can really, when you are present, you can tell when you're experiencing stress and anxiety in the body. So we're going to tap into that in just a few. So we'll be right back. And we are back. This is Coach Tiffany Parr with Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. We are taking center stage on the Own It Publishing platform today with our contributing writer, Miss Teresa Palmer, and we are talking about stress. We're going to talk about managing stress a little bit now and what to look for, because our bodies tell us all the time what is going on. And Teresa here has learned how to teach people how to tap into the most important organ in our body, which is the heart, because the heart manages everything. The heart manages stress. The heart manages that blood pressure. The heart manages just everything, the way that we think, the way that we show up. So, Teresa, when we're caught up in that rat race, what are some things that we can look at that we can maybe, tap into? Some things that maybe you can teach the audience that if they know it might actually save their life.
Sure. Sure. The first thing I would tell people is because the heart automatically beats, it's involuntary, which means we don't have to do anything. Your heart just beats. That's the way it is. And what I could say in over 30 years of cardiology practice, most of the time we don't think about our heart until there's either a perception that something is wrong, a condition, or something is wrong, a condition. But even in those cases, there's always things we can do to help ourselves. And the number one thing is that I think we need to connect to our heart on a regular basis, because the more we know about our heart and about us individually, because each person is unique, your heartbeat is unique to you. Even though majority of the time we all have the same rhythm, the way your heart beats is unique to you. And that's part of who you are. So that's how you get to know yourself, is through your heart. And I tell people to put their hand over their heart, the left side of their chest, just feel their heart beating. Get to know what your heart feels like. If you want to, you could envision the blood going through the body, because our heart nourishes every organ, every cell, every fiber in our body with nutrients. It gives and sustains life. Without a beating heart, there is no life.
Right. Right.
So it's important to physically check in with our heart. Get to know your heartbeat. What is your heart beat like? Because that's really the beat of your life.
Yeah.
And then what I like to tell people to do is, once they get their heartbeat and they physically feel their heart, connect it with your breath. So when you breathe in and out, it takes a little bit of doing, but
Mm-hmm.
try to get your heart and your breath kind of synchronized. And when
Wow.
you do that, the brain gets synchronized to be in touch with the heart. So unfortunately, most of the time, the way we function is up here.
Right.
Again, social conditioning, you're taught to be logical, you're taught to think with your brain. Your heart also has a brain. In fact, it's got more neuroreceptors than the brain does. So
Wow.
if we could take in emotions through our heart and sit with them, we help relieve the stress. Because most times we do a reaction. This
Right.
happened, boom, react. It goes to the brain. The brain says, uh-oh, we're in danger, sends out the stress hormones, which then affect every organ, every cell in your body. It disrupts the balance. So there's
Yeah.
something called homeostasis, or balance. If you could maintain balance in your body, you have an excellent chance of not having, of warding off illness and disease, because
Wow.
about 70 to 75% of illness and disease, stress is a contributing factor. So if you think of it that way, if you could reduce, eliminate, or manage the stress, you're also managing your health. And I think that's such an important piece that we're not really taught. We're taught to look at symptoms. Oh, I have X, Y, and Z. I need to go here to see
Right.
that person to manage it. When really we have this inner knowing, it's our intuition, and it's innate in all of us. We're born with it. And
Yeah.
if we just connect to our heart, we could start to connect to that, and we can get our heart and brain on the same page, so that when we have an emotion, it's not, uh-oh, what's wrong. It's, let me sit with this and let me give time to figure this out. So I think that's just the most important thing to do. The body's also vibration and
Yeah.
energy. So we
Mm-hmm.
pick up energy around us. And again, that's where that eye of the storm comes in. Because if you look at an eye of a storm, it's very still. But
Right.
yet there's all this turbulent energy around it. We have to learn ourselves to be that eye of the storm, focusing inward on ourselves, because once we could change that inner landscape and have peace and calm, everything that we do externally, and by that I mean diet, exercise, sleep, taking medications if you need them, taking
Mm-hmm.
supplements if you need them, they all work better because the body's in balance. And that's another piece that I always stress because, again, we're told to look outside ourselves.
Right.
Take a medication for this, do this, eat, all those things are important. But if your body's not in balance, you're doing yourself an injustice because those things can only work so far. They can't
Right.
change your inner landscape.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to manage within. And I just, I'm one that I know that medications, things like that are needed, for some, but I feel that if we do really just kind of tap in, we'll even realize that some of these medications are doing us, an injustice because they are just masking certain things. And I think just, like, just doing that check-in. I mean, because you can do that check-in and when your heart is elevated, and maybe being able to just take that nice deep breath, that's going to calm that body down. That's going to calm your heart down. Because I can even feel it when I get anxiety. If I'm getting into a room where, maybe I'm, never been in that room with those people, or, I'm going to speak or something. Yeah, I get a little anxious, but I don't take that minute.
That's good anxiety because that gives you the motivation to go
Yeah,
forward. Can it be crippling? Yes, but then that's a whole different story. And
yeah,
that's where professionals come in to help people with that. But you're right. As soon as you take a deep breath, the heart connects to the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is your parasympathetic nervous system. Boom, it turns off the stress hormones. And it
yeah,
gives you time then to either solve a problem, to sit with a problem. It gives you choices. And again, that's what's so important, that we do have the ability to make choices. It's just a lot of times when it comes to these things, we haven't been taught that. So we don't realize that we have the ability to make choices. And that's a lot of what I do is self empowerment for people to connect into your heart, your personal power. Once you connect into it, then sure, if you need medications, fine. If you need supplements, whatever you need, but now you're actually becoming a partner
yeah.
in your health care because you are totally aware of what's going on in your body, your mind, and your soul.
Yes, and they all work hand in hand. Everybody
They do.
has to realize that it all is intertwined. So you can't just work on your body and not your mind. You can't just work on your body and mind and not your spirit. Again, it's all together. So we're going to cut to another quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back, and I want to know, Miss Teresa, what you have going on to help people to, finish this year strong and get into this next year on a positive note. So we'll be right back in just a few. Speaking of the heart, that commercial right there just gives my heart joy. I tell you, every time I see it, I'm dancing in the background. So big ups to Mupo Entertainment, Michelle Mupo. Just amazing. You guys can definitely download that app, Mupo TV. We are back. Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. We have Teresa Palmer here with us talking about the heart, tapping in, learning how to manage that stress. Because once you tap into the heart, you're going to learn how to tap into everything in the body, mind, and spirit. So, Teresa, I know you got a lot of good stuff going on right now. So tell the audience, please, how can they tap into some of the things that you have going on? What do you have going on that can help them to end their year strong and, get into this next 2025 on a good note?
Well, right now I do write for both Own It magazine, and in Own It I'm doing the year in review, which talks about lessons I've learned, which also taps into everything that I teach people because I really practice it myself. So that's one thing to read it'll come out, I guess, in December, the year in review issue of Own It. I'm also writing for your magazine where I'm writing articles that address the emotional and spiritual part of our health, whether it be fitness, whether it be diet, exercise. So I'm really happy to be doing that. I do have a book out called Heal Your Heart from Within. And that book, I give all the information and all the tools. I share everything for people to really learn how to tap into their heart, how to use their heart on a daily basis, not only for their health, but their life. And I think it's an area that's just so, so important. I'm also working on a course that would be online that would talk about everything. I'm thinking of a title. It's either going to be a 360 view of the heart or a bird's eye view of the heart. Because when you look at an eagle, especially any bird, they fly high and they see everything from a big perspective. So they're not
Mhm.
just looking at what's in front of them. Once they soar, they see the big picture. And it's the same thing with heart health. It's not to say that you can't have conditions, there are conditions, but there's so many things you could do in partnership with your healthcare provider to help yourself. And those are all the tools that I share in the book. That's what I would be sharing online. It's everything from breath work to meditation to working with the subtle energies because there is an energy of the heart. Because if you look on the crudest level, we're all energy.
Right.
And there's energy around us. There's also different um, different forms of energy that are around the physical body, like the urethral, the mental, the spiritual body. And those are all things that if people have an interest, that would also be in the course and also working with the chakras. So that's what I do. People could contact me through my website. Um, if they, right now it's more just private consultations, but I will be going out more online, more into social media, again sharing. I did in the past, but the past couple of years there were some challenges, and I talk about that in my year in review. That how those challenges kind of helped me. I had to take a break from things because I had to become a caretaker.
Yeah.
So, but that's all solved and now it's back to being out more. But there's nothing wrong with taking a break, a pause,
That's
because
right.
it also gets you to look at what do I really want to do? Why do I want to do it? And then lastly, how do I want to do it? And that
Right.
would also be in the course, connecting to your soul, because our soul is a blueprint. It's not religion. And I know if people hear the word soul, they think of religion. Religion could be one aspect of it, but our soul is really our blueprint, our map for our life. And when we tap into that, we tap into our purpose in life. So that's what I have going on.
Yes, how exciting. Well, Teresa, I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for being a part of the Phoenix Fitness Fanatics family. I am so excited about just everything that you have going on. Look, everybody, tap into this lady right here because I'm telling you, once you tap in, things change, okay? Things change drastically and your body starts to just you start to change, right? Like you start to, I don't know. I mean, I learned from Teresa in this last year being a part of Own It magazine with her as well. And believe me, Teresa, I've been watching you and, just being able to tap into the heart. I've even just seen my body change. I've seen, relationships change in my life. just everything around you does change when you tap into your heart and get out of that stinking mind. Because like you said, that monkey mind, when you have that mind where you're thinking of everything all the time, that means that you're stressed out. So take a minute, tap in. So again, Teresa, thank you so very much for joining us. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. Keep an eye out once again, and we will definitely see you next time. Take care, everybody.